Rome never slept, and the things Romans did after dark would genuinely disturb you. Most people picture ancient Rome as a daytime civilization. Senators giving speeches, gladiators fighting, merchants selling bread in sunlit markets. But when the sun went down, Rome transformed into something completely different. And nobody talks about this part. First, understand one thing. Romans had no electricity, no streetlights, no lanterns on every corner. After sunset, the city went almost completely dark. The streets were narrow, unlit, and dangerous. Rome had a rule. No wheeled carts during the day. Too much traffic. So every delivery, every cart, every wagon was legally banned until nightfall. Which meant the moment darkness hit, the streets filled with the deafening crash of wooden wheels on stone. All night, every night. Roman historian Juvenal complained he couldn't sleep because of the noise. He wrote about it like a man on the edge of a breakdown. You couldn't escape it. No earplugs, no glass windows, just the sound of an entire city doing its logistics in the dark. But here's where it gets darker. Rome had no street lighting and no police force worth mentioning. So after dark, the city belonged to whoever was brave enough or desperate enough to be out in it. Gangs operated openly. Robberies were common. Walking alone at night was considered almost suicidal for ordinary citizens. The wealthy had a solution. They hired torchbearers, slaves who walked ahead with fire, lighting the path and signaling to everyone nearby that this person had money and protection. If you couldn't afford torchbearers, you stayed home. So what did Romans do inside at night? The wealthy threw dinner parties called conviviums. And these weren't just meals, they started at sundown and ran until midnight, sometimes longer. Guests reclined on couches because sitting upright to eat was considered barbaric. Wine flowed in 3 rounds, each one mixed with water. There were poetry readings, philosophical debates, hired musicians, dancers, and then, usually, things got inappropriate. Roman dinner parties had a reputation that would embarrass a modern host. What happened at the convivium stayed at the convivium. But most Romans weren't wealthy. Most Romans lived in apartment blocks called insulae, 6-7 stories tall, cramped, dark, and dangerous. No running water above the ground floor. No kitchens because open flames in a wooden building were a fire risk. So ordinary Romans ate from street stalls, all day. And at night, they gathered in thermopolia, ancient fast food counters with warm food built directly into the street. Archaeologists excavated one in Pompeii in 2019. They found duck bones, fish, snails, and pork still inside the containers. A 2,000-year-old takeout order frozen in volcanic ash. And then there were the baths. Most public baths in Rome were open late, some until midnight. For 1 small coin, or sometimes free, you could soak in heated water, get a massage, play board games, or just sit and gossip. The baths were where Rome actually talked. News traveled there. Rumors started there. Relationships formed and collapsed there. It was their internet. Here's what stays with you after learning all of this. Romans lived in a world with no artificial light, no safety, no real comfort by our standards. And yet they built the greatest empire in Western history. They did it through dinners that lasted until midnight, through conversations in dark bathhouses, through relationships built in fire-lit rooms. They didn't need screens or algorithms to connect. They just needed time, other people, and a reason to stay up late. Maybe that part hasn't changed as much as we think.